Peace and love, Facebook friends and family. Okay, so listen. This weekend I went to the Flair Ministries slumber party. It was called Words. And for those of you that know me, you know that words are very precious, near and dear to my life, my calling, my purpose, and who I am. At one time, I was using my words to hurt people, not intentionally, but hurt people. And I also have a knack for knowledge and seeking understanding and truth and meaning, so that it'll instill wisdom, so that later on in life, if I'm faced with the same situation, I can figure out how to operate in a way where I don't offend my brother or my sister or my father or anybody that I come in contact with. It could be a stranger. Um, but around 12 midnight, I just instantly began to cry. I was listening to my sisters talk about some things that touched them near and dear, and I could relate to them in so many different ways. But no matter what was talked about, I kept hearing God speak to me about forgiveness. And as God spoke to me about forgiveness, the tears became more and more and more. The teardrops got heavier. I wasn't sad, I wasn't depressed, I wasn't anything, but God was dealing with me. And what it made me think about was a song that I like to listen to. And the song is by Lauryn Hill. It's called Just Like Water. It's off of one of her unplugged CDs, and she made it when she was going through her spiritual transition, so to speak. But what it talks about is her tears and what the tears were doing in a descriptive way that made me then go into my word, think about my life, think about the things that are going on. And I was just saying, people always look at tears like they're a sign of weakness, but it's only because tears, you get called names like sensitive or emotional, and, they call those weak words. But see, God wants us to embrace every emotion. It's what you do with that emotion is what will determine what happens next. You don't have to take that emotion and do anything but embrace it, let them flow. So I ended up crying. I cried throughout the entirety of Saturday, off and on, for no reason at all. And I walked in the bank crying, just kept smiling and speaking to people, but the tears were flowing. I was in a restaurant, the tears just flowed. Riding in a car, the tears were just flowing. I went to sleep, the tears were still flowing. I got up for church Sunday, the tears were still flowing. And God was cleansing me the entire time. So I'm listening to the words and my flesh didn't puff up. I'm listening to the word. God is doing something. He's speaking to me silently. And my tears are a reflection of the love that he was given to me, of the reflections of all that I had been through and all that he took me through. It was getting all of that up out of me. It was my release. That was the cleansing and the stirring of God's presence, God's grace, God's mercy, God's love, God's forgiveness. It was purification. Purification is the removal of contaminants from something, and it was removing from me. Those tears were freeing me from pain, from hurt, from disappointment, from depression, from being let down, from being held back, from being set back, and anything else. Those were the things that God wanted me to release and get rid of. And the only thing that I had to do in order to get rid of that is to forgive. And not this big spectacle of forgiving, but when you forgive, after you forgive everybody else, you have to forgive yourself. And I hadn't forgiven myself. I had been content with saying, well, it's my fault because I shouldn't have put myself in the positions or in the predicaments that I allowed myself to get into. But that's not fact. This whole circle of forgiveness starts with you forgiving those that you feel have hurt you, but it finishes when you forgive yourself and allow God to purify you. So what I did was I pulled the words to the Lauryn Hill song, Just Like Water. So please stay tuned, because coming next, I'm going to actually perform it, so to speak. I don't like to say perform, but I'm going to actually relay this message in a poetic form, and I want y'all to catch hold to it. Don't be ashamed to cry. Everybody has to cry. It's healthy to cry. We were created to be emotional and sensitive to the hand of God, and the hand of God is touching all creations. So embrace your tears and elevate. Don't allow yourself to be held back by words of the world when you have the words of God. Watch what's coming up next.